to talk about the Zach Wilson versus Trevor Lawrence duel, we're going to talk about who played better. The Jets won the game 26-21. I think both quarterbacks had a phenomenal game in their own right.
I agree.
And even though I have this Jets jersey, I will not be biased in saying that Zach Wilson played better. Like, he had the better game. And that is just what it is. I'll say this.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence throwing the football was better than Zach.
I agree.
And I think he had more opportunities to throw as well. I thought the Jets, we did despite being out our receivers and our linemen, the Jets did a really great job at helping Zach. The offensive line, I think, played very well. Connor McGovern was huge at center. They were opening up a lot of holes for Mike Carter to get through. Then also, I think the play calling was helping out Zach a bit. Running backs helped out Zach. Trevor, I didn't see as much help. You know, even though he did have a lot of help, Trevor had a lot of time to throw in the pocket. And the Jaguars have a top 15 offensive line. It's not like the Jaguars offensive line, it stinks and Lawrence is getting David Card. It's not happening. Their offensive line is good. There were some times where he had like 7 seconds to throw on the Jets. There were some big time plays missed. Trevor Lawrence threw a bomb to Treadwell in like their first drive, and Treadwell just dropped it. Yep. He didn't secure the catch. But then there were some other instances where Trevor Lawrence overshot Marvin Jones on a double move in the end zone. Yeah. Would have been a touchdown. He overshot him. Another one where he threw it deep. Tavon Austin. He overshot him by just a little bit. Yeah. It was just a hair off of Tavon Austin, and he's really fast. So if you're overthrowing him, like, you know, it wasn't that accurate of a pass. So Lawrence played well. He had 280 yards. He completed 67% of his passes. He rushed for 37 yards. So he had 317 total yards compared to Wilson's 193 yards in total and 2 touchdowns. But Zach had the highlight play of the day. The 52-yard run, it looked like a sack. He escaped it. When talking about Lawrence versus Wilson, Zach Wilson is much better in the pocket. He has much better pocket presence. There are times where Trevor Lawrence bails out of it way too quickly. Okay. Once he feels a little bit, he instantly goes out. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He doesn't stay put. He is very uneasy in the pocket, and that's where he has to work on that. Yeah. With Zach Wilson is very calm. He can stay. There can be a lot of people in front of him, and he'll still make that throw, and he'll still step into that throw. You know, Lawrence, he had Marvin Jones. He had Chenault. He had Treadwell in the game. Zach Wilson, he only had Braxton Berrios. Like, Keelan Cole was okay. Smith dropped a crucial third down. Berrios was our best weapon. He had a kick return touchdown. It's phenomenal. But really, there was nobody that really separated for the Jets like the Jaguars. I mean, the Jaguars, it felt like every other play, somebody was getting wide open on a crossing route. And I think that was a lot of miscommunication. I think that's why Ashton Davis left the game. Because Ashton Davis, there were many times where him and Echols would not communicate well, and then a guy would be, you know, going free on a crossing route. Zach Wilson did have 3 potential interceptions, but the first one was his fault. Yeah. The first one he just didn't see the safety. That was Andre Sisco. Andre Sisco broke on it. Zach caught a break there. But the other two,
it a drop.
The interception?
That wasn't incomplete because the ball hit the ground.
That's what I was. Yeah. It was really close.
It was close.
Yeah. It was very close.
The second one, Zach Wilson threw it to Tyler Kroft, and he just didn't handle the ball. And I'm trying to remember the third one.
The last one was he threw it and it hit the defensive lineman in the face mask. And
the helmet. Exactly. Yeah. That was actually the second one.
The
third one was a Kroft.
The one to Kroft was close just because he
threw
it
like
in double coverage.
Tips.
No,
the ball kind of came out weird.
Hands,
but Kroft should have caught it though.
It was a tough ball to throw in double coverage.
Yeah.
You're really asking a lot. No, and I respect it. Yeah. And it was a decent ball, but you're asking a lot of a tight end to make that play.
And Tyler Kroft, nonetheless.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So I wrote down here basically. I talked about the 2 potential interceptions. The Jets' miscues. Our right guard kept getting beat. I think that was Van Roten. Yeah. I really wasn't sure. Some plays Zach really didn't have a chance. Like, there was nobody he can throw it to. Smith, the drop on third down. And Mims also dropped a touchdown. Mims dropped a touchdown. He's been extremely disappointing. Yeah, disappointing. And for Trevor Lawrence, Treadwell dropping that big time touchdown, and also just Trevor Lawrence overshooting his guys. But for the most part, I think both of them had really great games, and I think they had A+ games. I think they did.
For me, my biggest takeaway was Trevor Lawrence played very well, in my opinion. However, his receivers needed to help him out a bit. The one to Marvin Jones that he overthrew him, that's the one that sticks out to me that I really look at and think Trevor Lawrence wishes that he had back. Other than that, Marvin Jones had a plethora of drops. You mentioned Treadwell dropping that touchdown.
I would say the one in the end zone, I thought Bryce Hall got his hand in there.
It was
the one that was in the
yes.
back. I thought he got in at the last second, but it was right on the money. He made a good play, in my opinion.
What I love to see from Trevor Lawrence is, again, they're playing the Jets, and the Jets have the worst ranked defense right now. However, the confidence that Trevor Lawrence was showing himself making these throws, I like to see. A lot of people are talking trash on Trevor Lawrence's name right now. And the stats, to a degree, I guess it's a little bit justifiable. That being said, he's a rookie. He's on the Jaguars, one of the worst situations in the league. I wouldn't say the worst. I feel like Zach's probably in a little bit worse situation, in my opinion, but he's not in a great situation at all. That being said, the confidence that he showed on Sunday was very exciting to see. He's not hesitating to throw the ball deep. If he has some space and he sees his guy open, he's letting it fly. If he feels like there's a window that he can fit it in, he's letting it fly. His receivers need to start making some plays. Other than that, I'm not trying to take anything away from Zach Wilson. I think he had a really great game. The fact that he didn't try to do too much, he took what the defense gave him. If the defense was pressuring him and trying to take the shots away from him, he scrambled outside the pocket, and he made plays happen. Arguably the biggest play of the season. I don't know which you guys would choose. The Titans player this play, him rushing for the touchdown was huge. Jay Feely was extremely disrespectful, saying that this was his only special play of the season. Yeah. He didn't watch the Tennessee game. That ball to Corey Davis was absolutely mint.
Well, that's why he's a kicker.
True. I don't know which one you guys would choose. It's pretty debatable. This rush play was exciting, though. The fact that he hop-stepped out of that tackle and cribbed it, that was fantastic. It's close for me to choose who had the better performance. I feel like Trevor's passing ability on Sunday was a lot more exciting for me to see. But Zach Wilson, for what he was given or what he was able to do with what he was allowed, was impressive as well. So no disrespect to either quarterback. I just give the inch to Trevor just because he showed me a little bit more with his arm.
Yeah, Trevor also lost James Robinson.
That's true.
So, first series of the game, second series of the game, torn Achilles.
Prayers to James Robinson. I hope you're okay, King.
We saw Cam Akers
coming back next year.
We saw Cam Akers.
That's why it's brutal. Because James Robinson, I'm sorry, man. James Robinson had just been battling all season with not just the opponents and them really throwing everything at him, but his coaching as well. Them not giving him the strongest chance to succeed. Understanding that Travis Etienne is knocking on his doorstep. And the unfortunate news that he's going in to have Achilles surgery is tragic.
Yeah, James Robinson, it's going to be hard for him next year. I know we saw Cam Akers come back in 5 months. I don't know if that's going to be the norm moving forward with Achilles injuries, but he's dealing with the Achilles injuries, and now Travis Etienne is going to be coming back, first-round pick, who has obviously a much longer time to heal from this injury. So hopefully James Robinson can come back because when he's healthy, he's one of the better running backs in the league. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence and Zach, you guys said a lot of what I was going to mention already. I did think Zach probably overall had a bit of a better game, but in terms of just throwing the ball, I thought Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better than Zach personally.
This is some of his best throwing of the season.
Yeah, one thing that I would say is, because you brought this up, that his pocket awareness isn't the best with Trevor Lawrence, which I agree with in terms of he does scramble out of the pocket too soon.
This is his feel in the pocket.
There was one specifically that he just broke out, and it kind of allowed the defender to get a cut on him.
And that happens. Like he runs into those sacks.
That's fair. One thing I do think he does a great job at, which I hope Zach can take from, is when he does stay in the pocket, I feel like he's very strong.
Correct.
And he moves up in the pocket well. His feet are always set, and he makes a strong throw. That's one area which you mentioned last week where Zach has some issues with his feet, and he does that too. I know you say he's calm in the pocket, and I think he's almost calm to a fault, where he just knows that he can make throws with different arm angles off platform, and that's why he kind of lets his mechanics go. Well, Trevor Lawrence almost always has perfect mechanics, and he's standing in the pocket, and he's making a lot more impressive throws. Now, some of that does have to do with play calling. I think Zach, especially in this game, a lot of the easy throws looked easier. I think the game is starting to slow down for him a little bit. In terms of ADOT, though, he had Zach Wilson had an average depth target of 5.6, which was 32nd, same as Jake Fromm, while Trevor Lawrence's was 11, which was second highest in the league. So Trevor Lawrence, I mean, even if you're just watching the game, undoubtedly taking more chances downfield. And, we talked about this early in the season that Zach just has to make the easy throws, which I think he did do this game. And this is the second week in a row where his legs are really shining. I thought he was an above average athlete coming out of college. I thought he was better than Baker, but not like in a ton better. But I think he's definitely standing out in terms of his feet are definitely a weapon for him moving forward. This is something that I think LaFleur should get involved more in. It seems like he is a little bit, but a lot of his plays, not only the 50-yard run, he had a couple of other plays that went for first downs that, kept drives alive. But yeah, the two biggest takeaways for me from Zach were, one, the easy throws looked easier. The game's kind of coming a little bit slower, which is good. This is what you want to see as the season progresses.
For sure.
But Trevor Lawrence was the better in terms of passing. He was the more confident, and he looked more at least comfortable passing. Now, Zach, they're both dealing with injuries. I just think Trevor Lawrence looked a little bit more comfortable in the pocket, and that's something we've seen from Zach. It's been a few weeks, it seems like. That Miami game was kind of hit or miss. This game, too, only 14 completions for 100 yards. He did have an adjusted completion percentage of 84%, which is top 5 in the league. But again, when you're only throwing 5-6 yards down the field, it's not as impressive as Trevor Lawrence.
I'll say this. In that game, Zach Wilson had one bad throw. That's it. Everything outside of that was perfect. The only bad throw was he was trying to hit Tyler Croft in the flat, and it was just very inaccurate.
Yeah.
He had no chance to catch it. It just hit the ground. Trevor Lawrence's average depth of target, and this is where I think stats are a bit misleading. His average depth of target was that high because he was able to have that window open up. Like those receivers were getting open.
Mm-hmm.
If just like when I watched the All-22 and I was watching just the receivers and how they were downfield, Zach had nowhere to go in like 50% of his dropbacks, and that's why the Jets didn't throw him much. Zach only attempted 22 throws. There's a reason for that.
Mike Carter was also eating. He had 115
he
yards
was playing
on 18
great,
carries.
but they only attempted 22 passes because you couldn't trust anybody to get open. Trevor Lawrence attempted 39, almost 40 passes. He almost doubled Zach's passing attempts. That's why Zach had 91 yards rushing, because there are a lot of times where, wow, there's nobody open. This guy is blanketed.
Yeah.
And I can't, there's just nothing to be made here. There's no play here to be made. Zach definitely got more help in the running game, but when you talk about receivers separating and the offensive line play, Trevor's was just above and beyond. And the average depth of target for me is more so there's just nobody to throw it to. Like, for example,
I agree with that sense. I agree with that.
Early in the season, I know you guys joked about Jameis Winston a lot because he only dinking dunks early in the season. But it's just the weapons for the Saints weren't there, and that's why they had to run their offense that way. You compare the Saints' weapons to the Jets, what they had on Sunday, it's really the same.
Similar.
It's probably worse.
I mean, they have AK. That's really the difference.
Yeah, and Callaway's probably better than all the receivers we had healthy, this past week at least, being down.
Like I agree. I think Trevor was better throwing, but I think it's also because he had more opportunity to throw, and he had the players that can make those plays.
I'll tell you what, you guys were a little bit harsh on, more so Joel, but you alluded to it a little bit, that he escapes the pocket a little bit too soon. That being said, I feel like there was a lot of times while I was watching Trevor and the play breakdown, and he had to scramble outside the pocket, and he was making the smart play by scrambling outside the pocket. And again, he would set his feet and he'd throw a dime. The receivers need to make plays. That's really what it comes down to. If some of these receivers make any of these, I must have seen at least 4 drops, especially this one to Marvin Jones down the stretch of the game where he was basically by himself, and as soon as he made contact with the defender, he dropped the ball. Marvin Jones is an experienced receiver. He has been known in this league to be a solid wide receiver option. He needs to make that play, and he had a few miscues this weekend, and who knows how the game could have turned out. But ultimately, I'm not going to scrutinize him too much for escaping the pocket. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks exciting with his legs. Yeah. He has those capabilities. He showed it in Clemson, and he showed it a little bit this season.
He had almost 40 rushing yards this past game. He had one really big run at the end of the game that let
sure.
that last drive alive.
Sure.
It didn't end up working. There's only a couple plays really that Trevor didn't look good. I think the one to the strip sack by CJ Mosley, that was one you just have to get down.
Yeah, that was
CJ.
That was
it was a bit
play.
of a delayed blitz, but CJ got right through, and he was right in his face. And Trevor thought he would somehow be able to escape him. He tried rolling out to the left. He kind of slipped. I don't know exactly what happened. He slipped. Mosley was able to get him and get the ball. And then there's another play, C.J. Mosley missed an interception at the end of the game where that should have been a pick.
That was a pick six.
I wanted to be. I was just going to mention that too.
That I didn't even mention that. That was a pick six.
It should have been an easy pick.
And,
that just went
and
right
they ended
to
up
the
catching the
receiver.
ball, actually, which I thought was interesting because they got that pick, they got the reception, and I thought they were going to go up and hike and get another play because it was third down. Instead, they spiked it. Now you only have one play. I know you want to get a play in the huddle, but still, you get 2 chances instead of 1. It's an interesting play call.
Yeah, they could have won the game. That might have lost.
That's when
the game.
Inexperience takes over to a degree.
But I'm glad because Zach gave tickets to a family.
That was really cool.
They went to that game and now they saw
a win,
a big time performance, and a win. I'm so excited for the future of the Jets. Zach Wilson this season, despite the numbers, his touchdown to interception ratio, he actually has more total touchdowns on the year than interceptions now, if you count his rushing touchdowns. Zach Wilson arguably has one of the best passing touchdowns this season, one of the best highlights passing the ball and running the ball this year. And he's faced the toughest schedule of defenses, of passing defenses, of any quarterback in the NFL. Second is Justin Herbert, and even Zach Wilson has Herbert beat by a significant margin in how tough the defenses he's faced have been. This year is a developmental year.
Of course.
But the Jets are trending in the right direction, and Zach is going to become the best quarterback in this draft class. And before the draft, I was very high on him. I was probably wrong in saying he was a perfect quarterback prospect because nobody's perfect. But my analysis on him throwing the ball, he has the best arm in the class. He's the most natural thrower in this class. I said he was sneaky athletic. People laughed. They said, you're only saying that because he's white.
That's where the sneaky comes in.
Yeah,
that's why.
Because I'm like, he's sneaky athletic because, you don't look at Zach and say he's athletic.
Yeah.
But no, I saw on tape, he makes a lot of runs. And that's what I saw in college. That's why I said he's sneaky athletic, but people try to clown her to say, oh, he's only saying that because he's white. No, it's because he's actually athletic. Once Zach gets the weapons around him, and I think the Jets are going to do that this offseason, you look at the AFC East, the Dolphins, Bills, and Patriots are all playoff caliber teams. The Jets have a lot of pressure this offseason, Joe Douglas specifically, to get this team going in the right direction and build around Zach. And I know I wasn't high on Joe Douglas before, but I'm going to have faith.
You have to.
Yeah.
I was reading this book, Think, Grow Rich. Faith is one of the strongest emotions.
Absolutely.
It clouds a lot of judgment. But I'm going to have the faith in Joe Douglas because if Joe Douglas doesn't pan out as GM, odds are Zach Wilson didn't pan out, which means that I need Joe Douglas to pan out.
Oh, of course.
So I'm rooting for him by default, not by choice. I want to get that straight.
I have faith in JD, man. I think he's going
to
do
stop
some
it.
good things.
I need you to decide.
So,
are you in or you out?
Do you could answer that question, but we talked last episode. You thought the Giants had a better future than the Jets. I'm still curious if you feel that way.
I just think they have more established talent.
But if you don't have quarterback, head coach, and GM, does it matter?
It does matter. Okay, I might have been wrong. I think the Jets have the brighter future.
Respect.
But I'm gonna say this. Like I said, I know if you look at the stats, it doesn't look like Zach is having a great time here. But like I said, he's faced the toughest schedule of passing defense of any quarterback in the NFL. Rookie OC, rookie coach, no weapons, not a good offensive line. I haven't felt this way about a Jets quarterback in a long time. Actually, never in my life. The last time I felt this way was with Mark Sanchez, and I was like 10. Zach Wilson, I think he's special. And part of the reason why I think it's not just because he's a Jets quarterback, it's because I scouted him, and I thought he was special. So whether he went to the Jags or wherever, I thought he was going to be great. So I'm happy that the Jets picked my quarterback because this was my guy.
Was he your QB1 or 2?
He was my QB2, but
that's fine. I think Lawrence is still.
He was my QB2, but he was my QB2 because I didn't watch Lawrence yet, and I was just like, by default, I'm gonna place him here. Okay. But once I actually watched Lawrence, I was like, nah, Zach's my number one.
Interesting.
I still got to give respect to Trevor.
I still got Trev, but I think Zach's progressed this year for sure.
You know what's funny is that my first video on TikTok, I downloaded the app, and it was last year. And the first video was, I think, after the Jets lost to, it was the week before the Rams.
Okay.
And we were winless. We were projected to get the number one pick. And I made a TikTok video like, yes, Trevor Lawrence is coming to New York. all this, all that.
If you didn't know, Joel is King Jinx. He jinxes everything.
Yeah, I jinxed the Raiders coin theory. So the Jets, they got they won the very next week after I made that video, and a bunch of people were back at that video and they were laughing and stuff. And then a couple weeks after, when we didn't have the pick, I was like, this was in December, early December. I was like, I don't care that we don't have this pick because there's another guy who nobody's talking about who's gonna go crazy, and that's Zach Wilson. And then in February, he's like, oh, he's Mormon Mahomes, he's this, he's that. So I was on the Zach wagon for a while.
Yeah, you were riding that way.
And he has a beautiful smile.
He does.
He's just a good dude.
He's a great guy.
I watched a video of him gifting those tickets to that family, to that lady that was working, and just him explaining it in the press conference when they asked him the question. I just got teary-eyed, man, and I'm like, this is the guy leading my team.